Yes, I'm aware that this is a Tuesday. This is not a typical Tuesday show. This is a Monday night when we're filming this, but this is coming out. This will be coming out Tuesday when we release this tomorrow. But yeah, this is not a live show. This is a pre-recorded show, unfortunately. But sometimes you can adapt. We can move some stuff around on the schedule. So not something we've done. That's something we have not done before. We've done this before. So nothing new for us. But of course, this is the Four Verticals Podcast, episode 143. Again, not live. This will be, as I'm filming this, will be posted sometime tomorrow because of the way the schedule is working out. So because of all that, the traditional show on Tuesday live, this will be pre-recorded at night. High atop a frosty Jacksonville, Florida. A lot of cold weather coming in for most of us across the southeastern region of the U.S. Even some snow up near like Nashville, Chattanooga, places like that. Just every sign that winter is coming and summer is long gone. So if you are new here, of course, welcome into the show. We don't usually do a show like this late at night, but we've done it before, so we'll do it again, or at least like this, pre-recorded. But make sure if you're listening to this on the premiere or heck, even on Afterplay, be sure to subscribe to the channel, YouTube channel, podcast feed on Spotify, X, Instagram. You know where to go for that. Everything here is free. If you want to subscribe, go right ahead. That's all we're asking for is to subscribe. So be sure to do it. Even if you think you have, make sure to do it. Some of you who are watching this are probably not subscribed. We want you to. So be sure to do that. And be sure to check us out on the social media platforms and also the Spotify podcast feed. So be sure to check us out there. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Coaching carousel news. Week 12 college football picks to go over, to cover, discuss, look over, and we have the Tuesday poll. Doing this on a Monday night, but the Tuesday poll. Then we have Bucs Patriots reaction as well. So a lot of things to cover here on this Friday night. Whenever you're listening to this Tuesday. By the way, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there, soldiers for the U.S. military, all the branches. We salute you. Coaching carousel. A lot of things going on with the coaching carousel. As of this moment, as we are pseudo live recording, no one was fired this weekend, so it was a clean weekend. There was no Bloody Sunday, thankfully, for some people, but there's definitely a lot of speculation. So there's a couple of coaches we need to discuss here. We haven't talked about in a while. First one up, Mike Norvell. A lot of speculation about him being fired Sunday. Josh Pitt brought it up in his show. Others have speculated as to, maybe could that loss to Clemson really put Florida State over the edge? It did not. He is still the head coach. They play Virginia Tech, I believe, this coming up Saturday at home. Their final home game of the year. And that's it for their home stretch. And it makes you wonder, with him being still the coach going into this game, like and I agree with Josh Pate, what's the incentive of keeping him? What's the incentive of keeping Mike Norvell? Because you've already had multiple schools that are either equal to you in your job status or equal to you in your job status or a little bit better than you, right? LSU's open, Auburn's open, Penn State's open, Virginia Tech's a little bit worse than you, but they're open. You'll be facing them with an interim coach. Florida's open, your rival down I-75. So a lot of schools that are, again, equal to you or a little bit better than you in terms of the job, they're open, and you are not open. And I agree wholeheartedly with not only the folks in the industry and just Florida State fans in general. There's no incentive of keeping Mike around much longer. There is not. I know folks have, particularly the Nolecast guys, Bud Elliott and crew, they've joked. I know it sounded like they were joking that if Norvell was coming back, they would quit doing the show until they got a new coach. They were serious about that. And I don't necessarily. I don't really disagree with that. I mean, if I was in Bud's shoes or any of them, yeah, why would I continue doing a show or continue doing a podcast, if you will, on a specific team? That's not fun anymore. So. Yeah, it's still kind of a question as to why he's still in office. Does it make any sense? Maybe it is a case that you are trying to get your ducks in a row. That's possible. I think the big question out there in Tallahassee, which is about an hour and 30 minutes away from me and he be here in Jacksonville down I-10, is do we have everyone on agreement that Norvell is not here next year? If he is gone, we go a different direction. That's the only thing I could really see this holding up if they're going to fire him. That's the only thing I can see holding this up is if no one is on the same page excuse me, yet. Yeah, no one's on the same page yet in terms of buy-in and whatnot. I mean, I've heard money's not a problem. I've heard the candidate pool is not a problem, but it seems to be just something's missing there. Now, I mentioned on our breaking news video on Friday, we did one special one about Fickle being retained at Wisconsin. We already talked about it, but I mentioned on that video that it's possible, could Florida State follow the suit? Could they potentially go the same direction, keeping Norvell for another year, investing heavily in the program money wise, and maybe doing some better stuff in the portal, or I mean, just being more proactive in the portal, I guess. It's possible, but I don't think so. I think Florida State is one of those brands. Let me fix the camera. One of those brands where I don't think keeping around a head coach that you know is going to get fired around and every year is not good enough, or at least is not the standard there at Florida State. The standard there at Florida State is, beating for national championships, being a top 15, top 10 type team every single year. That's the standard there. The standard is not going, losing to these shitty ACC teams and going 4-4 in conference. That's not the goal there. The goal there is to be very competitive amongst the big boys, and for the most part, during Norvell's tenure, outside of the Bama win, seems like forever ago, and maybe some moments here and there, just not good enough there. And I think a lot of folks are getting tired of it, and I think a lot of college football fans are getting, frankly, tired of it. So Norvell still at Florida State. Don't know exactly what the real holdup is, though I'd imagine probably some sort of situation where there's not enough buy-in yet to suggest that he is going to be removed from office anytime soon. So, I'm not the type of person that roots for people to get fired. I've supported Norvell. I've been very vocal about that, even going back to last year. We started a show, or really started this show back on Spotify. I've been defending him for a long time. I mean, he's a good guy. It sounds like he's, pretty well respected in the coaching world. It's just time for a change. It seems like the equity he built up in 2023 is all but evaporated, and even including that Bama win this past September, it's not there anymore. So likely something to happen there, more likely, or either that they keep him around and you're gonna be pissing off a lot of Florida State fans. So I would imagine Florida State fans would much rather want the firing to happen versus him sticking around. As for another potential here, and we'll move on from the coaching carousel. Again, somewhat quiet weekend for the carousel, especially on Sunday. Jonathan Smith in Michigan State, not fired yet. Is he next? Probably. They are, let me check here on the fly. I don't believe they are going to a bowl game this year. I don't think. Well, they need three more wins. So they need to go 3-0. This will be 3-6 in league play. So they need to beat Penn State, Iowa, and Maryland, and Maryland and Detroit for the neutral site. That's gonna be tough for sure. So good luck doing that. I know a lot of folks aren't happy with Jonathan Smith, and look, I thought he was gonna work out there at Michigan State. I thought he was. He's a good coach, a hard-nosed coach. No nonsense. He did well at Oregon State, his alma mater. Did wonderful there. It's not a good fit. Again, sort of like I've compared before. It's kind of like the Brian Harsin thing at Auburn. It just wasn't a good. Doesn't seem like it's a good fit culturally. The defense is horrible. I think they're giving up like 40 points per game almost. Just, I mean, the most points that or the least amount of points that they've given up versus one of the big boys like the P4, especially in like Big Ten play, is 23 points. That was this past weekend against Minnesota, which they lost again. So they're averaging in Big Ten play like losing by 35-ish. So not good there for Michigan State, but yeah, I mean, I know a lot of folks are kind of wishy-washy on Jonathan Smith and what his future is there. I would just assume he's probably out, more than likely. I just noticed on camera, my face is very much so yellow. That's because of the light and us doing this at night. So apologies for the lighting situation. Maybe I can fix that. It's a little bit better, but oh well. I guess it is what it is. But we're doing a show. It's not live, so we're just recording this. But yeah, coaching carousel continuing to spin. No real updates yet on coaches being hired. Seems like Penn State. Still don't know about them. Florida, ditto, LSU. Virginia Tech probably only one. at the moment that feels like there could be some finality in the next couple of weeks. So we'll keep an eye on that up there in Blacksburg with Virginia Tech. Again, if you are new here, we don't usually like to talk about the coaching carousel, but for this season we kind of have to. And believe it or not, it's given us the most views, by the way. Like the LSU coaching search video, or not video, just the show title, gave us like 40 views. Like a lot of LSU fans must be watching the show. So if you're an LSU fan, if you're a Virginia Tech fan, if you're an Auburn fan, if you're a Michigan State fan, or whatever, join us, subscribe, like the videos, streams, we do them, and be sure to follow us on the socials as well. We have Instagram now, been active on X for a long time, Twitter, and we've also been on Spotify too for a long time, even longer than YouTube. So again, make sure to subscribe. If you think you are subscribed, double check, and just maybe grab some of your friends, family's phones, go to their smart TV and subscribe. Just be respectful about it, but just hey, like college football, this show's for you. Week 12 picks. Week 12. We have two more of these weeks. Two more of these after at least regular season weeks after this, and then we have conference championships. So regular season is almost over, but the college football season is like halfway done because the national championship is in like borderline February. But we have a lot of games to pick here. Week 12, Texas at Georgia. This is the 7:30 game on ABC. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, we call the game. Georgia, according to FanDuel, -5.5. According to that number. Again, FanDuel, not a sponsor of the show, just an asset we use for research purposes. So this could be a huge moment for Texas, I know a lot of folks don't trust them. A lot of folks kind of feel lukewarm about Texas. I understand that. You might necessarily view Texas through the prism of, well, they're a two-loss team. They are getting better on the offense. Yes, Arch Manning's improving. Defense is still very good. I think a lot of folks don't understand that even though they have two losses, they're still in the mix for playoffs, for sure. Even with a close loss to Georgia. But I think the incentive for Sark and company, like into the microphone there, hopefully that wasn't heard. Actually, let me go fix it real quick. Hopefully it didn't go out. Okay, that should be better. Hopefully the audio is fine, but I'm sure it probably is. But anyway, whatever. That's on YouTube, but for Spotify, you should be okay. But anyway, what I was saying, was that I think the incentive is for Sark and them is to win the game, right? This is a revenge spot for them. Last year, it was at home for them. They got splattered kind of at their home stadium. So, yeah, I mean, look, they're still a really good team. They're a player in not only the college football playoff race, but kind of the SEC championship game. It's a lot of hula hoops and a lot of things to go through, at least possibilities. But it's not impossible. They can make it to Atlanta, I don't think. Or at least I think it's not impossible, but I could be wrong on that. But either way, they're still a playoff team, right? Just because you have two losses in the SEC doesn't mean you're out of it. They're still in it. Even three, I think Texas will be in. But they have a massive opportunity to get a huge win for Sark. He hasn't had many of these. The only other big win that he's had is, probably beating Alabama in the final year of them being the Big 12. Saban's last year, Sark going in there and winning there in Tuscaloosa. That's his biggest win, and that's the only win he has in his calling card against the SEC that he can hold up. That's kind of it. And that was back in the old Big 12. This is not current, right? This is not their current conference affiliation. So I think Texas in a lot of ways. Actually, let me open my microphone. I think Texas in a lot of ways, they need this win. They need it, or at least that's not. We shouldn't say that. It's not required, but there are so many incentives for them, for Texas, that if they win this game, just incredible. I mean, going on the road, beating Kirby and Georgia, who beat you last year, just the whole revenge factor. And there's still talent on this team, Texas team. Defensively, yes, I get it. The Mississippi State game exists. I don't care. It's still a good team. At least defensively, that's a good defensive unit. It's a shame that it's kind of being wasted. But that talent's still there, okay? Just because you haven't seen all the, the results you've wanted to see all year. And now that I think about it, they only have one loss in conference. Is that right? Let me look this up. Pretty sure they only have one loss in conference. If I get this correct, Yeah, they only have one loss, so they're still alive in the SEC championship race. So, or the SEC championship race. So yeah, I was correct on that. They only have one loss out of conference as the other one. They have only one loss in conference. Excuse me. So all their goals are still alive for getting back to the SEC championship game. It's going to be tough, though. Again, you're going on the road, hostile environment. I mean, the last team to beat Georgia, not named Alabama, is South Carolina. Will Muschamp. It's been since the last decade that someone not named Alabama and Kalen DeBoer has beaten Georgia at home. It's just that it hasn't happened. In Texas, not been very good on the road. I mean, let's just not buried the lead. Struggled at Ohio State offensively. Struggled mightily at Florida. You got past Mississippi State in overtime and did it with Kentucky. So their road record, while I've been trying to sell you on the upset and saying, look, they have good talent, Arch Manning's getting better, they're profiling as a team that is scaling up a little bit. I can't guarantee you anything about that because they've been so shaky on the road. It just happens that they're off a bye, so that helps. After they beat Texas, after Texas beat Vanderbilt a couple weeks ago, top 10 team formally, and I mean they're a rested team. While as Georgia on the other hand, they had the Florida game happen, then they had the sandwich game with Mississippi State that took care of business, and here they are at home. So for Georgia to win, and I think in general too, this can apply for both teams. I think the most points that you would need both of them to score both teams, somewhere in the high 20s, like 27, 28 points for both would be needed to win this game. I think both teams can do that. I think Georgia can move the ball a little bit on Texas, I think. Now, their ground game is a bit of a concern here. That's the one thing for Georgia that, you're not facing Mississippi State this week. Mississippi State, if you didn't watch that game like I did as a sadistic, look at some of the holes that Mississippi State basically gave Georgia. It's like me and all my, random people could run for those holes that Georgia created versus Mississippi State with no problem. Like Mississippi State, defensively on lines of scrimmage is no match for like the more physical teams in the SEC. They just don't match up. Not being mean to them, but that's just the way it is. Texas is a little bit different. They have talent that can give Georgia fits. Bama gave them those fits. Other teams have tried to do that. Auburn and Florida tried to, but failed. Bama's the only one. And Sark and that defense is very similar to that, sort of Nick Saban. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but kind of similar in terms of they can create some stuff defensively to stop you. They're a very physical team. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but yeah, like I was trying to say, it's like with Georgia, if their running situation is not that, but it has not been good. We'll have to, whether it's the guys who are established or the transfer, I think from Army who came over, they just haven't been as good, or at least not. They haven't been producing the way you think a Georgia team should be. And Texas is the type of team that can't stop the run. They can do it. Now, will they do it? It's a different story. But Georgia, they're going to have their hands full of this line of scrimmage. And I think that's where this game will be decided, is the line of scrimmage for both of these teams. And Georgia, the one advantage I think they may have is maybe the receiving core with Georgia. Their receivers are actually much better than last year's, and they're much better than Texas. I'll give you that. Even with the improvements that Arch Manning's been making, I just feel like Texas, in terms of the wide receiver department, they're no match for Georgia in terms of what they have. But this is a huge game for both of these teams. Huge. I mean, it's definitely one of the biggest games of the weekend. It was a sort of pseudo splattering last year in Austin. It's a revenge factor for Texas. Georgia, on the other hand, it's another opportunity, much like the Bama game. And I'll say the same thing about this game that I did about Bama. Those Georgia students better show up, okay? Because they showed up and they did very well in terms of creating a hostile atmosphere against Bama. It didn't matter. They did the same thing with Ole Miss. Those fans showed up, made it a hostile environment. It mattered. Can you go, 2-1 in these three big games at home for UGA? I think you can. They certainly have the talent to. You have the home atmosphere that will allow you to do it, because I think Georgia is one of the more underrated home atmospheres. And it's not because that they want to watch the games. Obviously, they do. I mean, look, they only had one loss this decade, and now that came back last month. Before they went with no divisions in the SEC, Georgia for the longest time did not have a lot of games that profiled as huge games at home. Like maybe you'll get, an occasional non-conference game of Clemson or Notre Dame, a little bit later in the life, if you will, of the SEC East. Yeah, Tennessee rise up with Josh Heupel. So it got better towards the end of the divisions for them, or at least them being the Eastern Division, but didn't help. Now, with no divisions, it's like every single year you get multiple big games. So this is their last chance for Georgia, because after this they go kind of dark, okay, because they play Georgia Tech in Atlanta. So I know, regardless if it was a neutral site or not, it's not in Sanford Stadium. So this is the last time for them that they will have an opportunity to make a statement at home. And I trust Kirby Smart, man. That team is winning in different ways. They've multiple nail biter games, but they still win. Much like Indiana, Kirby Smart has that same sort of Saban-esque mentality of like, we're down. Unless it's killing the boar and Bama. Besides them, those teams, they can deal with it. We feel comfortable. We feel comfortable being vulnerable. And I think Georgia, for the most part this year, outside of the Bama game, they felt comfortable being vulnerable. That's kind of the line of the game, or that's kind of the best way I can describe this game is who's the most vulnerable or who's the most comfortable being vulnerable, Texas or Georgia. I don't know what that was. Folks upstairs in my apartment always having a tendency to make some racket at night, but I must have been upstairs. If you heard that on Spotify or YouTube, I can't control the environments upstairs, so that's their problem. Let's see here. Let's look at the CFB Nerds model, and we'll continue on with the show as usual. Let me, make sure we have everything ready to go. So Georgia, according to FanDuel, again, 5.5 home favorite. Texas, by the way, in the CFB Nerds model, college ball nerds, Josh and Daniel, they have Texas minus 0.7, just a very minuscule favorite, which is interesting to me. I trust Kirby Smart. I trust Georgia when they don't face killing the boar Alabama. So I'm picking them to win. I think they cover, not by much. They're like slight cover, slight lean towards Georgia. Not by much, though. I think it'll be a good game. Obviously, the spread's 5.5. So give me Georgia to win. I'm giving them to cover slightly. How about that, too? 5.5 spread. Very rare to see Georgia with that type of stat line at home. That's what you get. With no more divisions, not playing Tennessee, at least Tennessee, who was down, or like Kentucky, South Carolina, Missouri every single year. You get more competitive games. Next up here, Iowa at USC, I believe. Is this the... Kind of curious, what time does this game come on? Not exactly sure when. I know it's this Saturday. Should know this, but it's on Big Ten Network of all places. Okay. It wasn't my first choice. Then, it could have been CBS, but didn't seem like CBS at the first had the second highest pick of the litter, if you will, in the Big Ten, which is odd to me, which is yet another example of that deal they made with the Big Ten, just atrocious. It's all their fault, but part of it is their fault. They could have had it better. But anyway, USC, USC hosting Iowa, Big Ten Network, 2:30 kickoff. This is a prove-it game for USC. At least prove it to me again. They did it against Nebraska. They went on the road and handled a physical, or at least they won a physical game. They also did it against Michigan. But I need you to, I would like to see you do it again. 3 times, okay? 3 times. The other opportunity they had was to beat USC, I believe, at home. They failed to do that. They also failed to beat Illinois. So this is yet another opportunity to prove people wrong that you are a physical team and you can be physical. And I think for USC, I think they're off a bye, by the way, or not off a bye, but they have extra rest because the game against Northwestern's was on a Thursday or Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. So they're a couple of days rested. So they have a little more rest. Meanwhile, Iowa, if you're looking at another schedule dynamic here, they're going cross country, across the Mississippi River, or not cross Mississippi River. They're already across it anyway. Going across the Rockies, okay, the Rocky Mountains, going all the way to the West Coast, and they're coming off a very emotional physical game against Oregon. How checked in is Iowa? How checked in is that team? Because I know Kirk Ferentz, don't know him personally. I know he'll get this team ready to play. They're get fired up and ready to bring that physical brand of Iowa football. But are they invested? did that loss this past weekend to Oregon, did that drain the confidence that Iowa was building up, or did it motivate them? That's what I'm wondering here. I think for Iowa to win this game, you got to play your brand of football. And that's not necessarily the most welcoming of welcomes for USC, because USC, again, they've shown it a couple times, but they've also lost games they've lost two teams that were more physical than them. Again, Illinois, Notre Dame. Yes, they did beat Michigan and they beat Nebraska. You are also both more. There are more teams that are more profiling as physical teams, but this is different. This is Iowa football. This is Kirk Ferentz, Phil Parker, the dinosaur offense versus DeAnton Lynn and that staff there in Los Angeles. So that's my wonder of USC. Can they do it again? Can they do it again, or is this going to be yet again another dud and a number of duds that they have had in terms of facing physical teams or teams that are just a little bit more physical than them in terms of the lines of scrimmage? I think Iowa can do it. They have the personnel to do it. I think they have the coaching staff to do it. Was the game last week against Oregon, was it emotionally draining, or was it a motivation situation? I don't know. Now for USC, again, it's got to be physical, because Iowa's going to want to, no matter where they play, whether it's Kinnick Stadium, Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship game, or anywhere, they will try to drag you down, and they want you to stoop down to their level and play their brand of football. Can USC do it? I don't know. Again, it's a split camp. They did it with They didn't do it with Illinois and Notre Dame. They did it with Michigan and Nebraska. Ironically, Nebraska and Michigan maybe even more physical than the two teams they lost to. But this is a different test of Iowa. Very different test. A very different type of team, a very experienced team too, with Phil Parker being a very good defensive mind. So, again, can you do it again? If you're USC, can you do it again? And then if you're Iowa, how motivated are you? And did that loss to Oregon, is it going to turn into another loss for you? We'll see. Let's see here. Let's go to the FanDuel number and CFB Nerd. So FanDuel has USC minus 6.5. Interesting being at home. Makes sense given the travel stuff and whatnot. Now, the CFB Nerds model has it way shorter. They have USC minus 1.3. I almost wonder to myself with Iowa, knowing that they had everything go right for them last week, everything set up for them, the weather, the type of team that was coming in with all the injuries and stuff for Oregon, they were so confident, man. I guarantee they were so confident they were going to win that game. They didn't win that game. But even with the travel stuff and all that, they are facing a team in USC that is not like Oregon, who is consistently physical. I can't say that about USC. USC to me is way too inconsistent. They can be physical when they want to, but they've also had a tendency to not be very physical when they want to. Go look at the Notre Dame game. Go look at the Illinois game. I hate to say this as a Lincoln Riley fan, as someone who likes his style of teams, and I think both of these teams will score points. I think the points you need to win this game is 20, 24, 21, that type of game. That's probably the type of game you're looking at. I think Iowa's going to win this game somehow, some way. I think they're motivated from last week. They're pissed off. They're going on the road, and they're facing a USC team that is not consistently physical enough. And I can't guarantee you, or at least I can't guarantee that they will be physical for this game like they were against Michigan and Nebraska. I can't guarantee that. So until I see things otherwise begin to change there, I'm still going to pick against them if they're facing these type of teams. If it's anyone else besides them, at least it was this year's team, it's a little bit different. And if they were to win this game, Jay Mayava just has to go off at quarterback. That's another thing, too, we're not mentioning him. Like him and Gronowski, sort of this weird quarterback situation. Look at Gronowski's a good runner. And USC has not really faced a running quarterback like that, really at all, period. I mean, Bryce Underwood kind of, but Gronowski's more refined than he is. So they haven't really been tested with the quarterback run. Interesting to see if they can do it. I don't think they're going to. I think Iowa goes in there and they win outright. Again, pains me to say it. Big Lincoln Riley fan. I've always been a fan of his. I know there's been a lot of conjecture and rumors about his future there at USC, whether it's him leaving or getting fired. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. All I know is that Josh Pate said something last week. He hasn't addressed it yet. Who knows? He may circle back on it when he was on Busting with the Boys, by the way, on this show. who knows? But interesting that he put it out there with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton and company. So we'll keep an eye on that with USC. Next up here, the 3:30 game on ABC before the Georgia-Texas game. Oklahoma goes to Alabama. Revenge spot for Alabama. Revenge. Remember last year, Jackson Arnold, who's at Auburn right now, 24-3, kind of a gross type of game if you're Bama. Granted, though, that was a different situation with the quarterback, because Jalen Milroe is literally the quarterback manifestation of Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But here they are. It's a revenge spot for Bama. And if you're using the entire history of them, including of course, the Saban years, they're pretty good in terms of of getting revenge on teams, and they've made an example out of teams, and they get revenge on them. Granted, the sport's a little bit different now, but there's that history. What kind of performance are we going to get from Oklahoma defensively? Because LSU kind of played the blueprint in terms of how to frustrate Bama defensively. Now, granted, some of it was more the timing stuff and drops from Alabama and their with Ty Simpson and the receivers, but LSU was physical, man. I told you guys they were going to hang in there. Yes, they didn't cover the spread like I thought they would, but they hung in there for a while though. Can Brent Venables and company do the same thing that LSU tried to do, which is dominate on line of scrimmage, get kind of expose that Bama offensive line that's been a bit of a sweet and sour performer this year. Can they do that on the road? No less. It's gonna be tough. Granted, their first time going to Brian Denny. First time for really all of those people, Brent Venables, the whole coaching staff, first time going there. Tough environment, man. Again, the only team that has beaten Bama at their place in this decade, going from 2020 onwards to now, was their rival, OU's rival, Texas. And their last year in the Big 12. That's how long ago that was. It's been a number of years. Kalen DeBoer is undefeated at home, obviously, because of that. He hasn't lost yet, but this might be the first time, maybe since the Georgia game last year, and they may feel threatened. Actually, correction, maybe the Vanderbilt game this year, but a tried and true team that if you just look at them, what they're profiling with, and just looking at them overall during the year and their body of work, this is probably the first time, at least probably the first time, playing against when you're having a, I don't know what I was trying to say there, believe me, try it again. This might be the first time since that Georgia game, there we go, that they are facing a team and a brand that is gonna make them sweat. I think Oklahoma can do it. That's a big number, 6.5 being at home. To be honest with you, according to FanDuel. But it'll be interesting to see can Oklahoma do what LSU did? Try to blitz a little bit, sort of expose that offensive line for Bama, get to Ty Simpson, frustrate him. Because we've seen teams do it, South Carolina, Florida State, those type of teams, even though, they didn't lose to South Carolina, but they lost to Florida State. But still, those two teams got to the quarterback a little bit. LSU got to the quarterback. Even though, again, LSU lost, they still, made an example of that Bama offensive line. So I do wonder about that. Now, on the flip side, I wonder about Oklahoma's offense. Because I can feel good about the defense. I think they will do their job, at least limiting Bama to very few major explosive, nuclear plays, right? I don't know if Oklahoma offensively can keep up with them as much, like scoring with Bama, if they end up scoring a little bit more, like, I don't know, north of 21 points. I don't know if Oklahoma's offense can do that. Yes, I know we've seen the Tennessee game, we've seen some other games, but this is a different beast, though. This is the best defense that they have faced since the Texas game. It's been a while. So I don't know if we're going to get from Oklahoma's offense. I like John Mateer to their next extent. Yes, there's a lot of things he does sloppily. It's not a bad play. It's not a crappy quarterback. They have good talent there. They have good receivers that could, challenge those Bama corners. But those Bama corners are good, though. They're really good. John Mateer, though, in terms of his skill set, the thing that would concern me if I'm Bama, and they've seen this in losses and in wins over Kalen DeBoer's tenure there the past year and a half, is running quarterbacks. John Mateer is a running quarterback. All of the losses that they've had there, even the close wins, have been all because of running QBs that they've been exposed by. Jackson Arnold, Diego Pavia, Tommy Castellanos, Nico Eli Milava is one of them. So that's about 6 or 5 quarterbacks that have exposed Bama under Kalen DeBoer who are running quarterbacks. And you're getting another one with Mr. John Mateer, and then going forward, you'll get another one with assuming it'll be Ashton Daniels for Auburn. So down the road. But again, Bama defensively at home, at least their ability to stop teams, a little bit different than on the road, right? We've seen games to where their defense did step up at home. The Vanderbilt game, Tennessee game, LSU. So they have, they're a different team. If this was on the road like last year, I would feel even more nervous about this game. But I don't know if I do for Alabama. At least being able to frustrate this Oklahoma offense, I feel good about it, especially being at home. But the flip side, with OU's defense versus that offense, some concern about that for sure. Again, I think Oklahoma has the ability to really limit the whole arsenal there for Bama's offense. I think they can do it. I think they can really limit them, and I think they can really not let them get those big nuclear plays, right? Whether it's a big pass to Isaiah Horn or Jeremy Bernard or Ryan Williams also, of course. One of those big, like 40-plus yard plays, what we call here the nuclear plays. I think Oklahoma can limit that. They can stop it. But is it a guarantee? No. Oklahoma under Brent Venables on the road, not been the best. They've struggled a little bit, even going back to the Big 12. So this is yet again another road game, and it's the toughest one they'll have. And probably this year. The toughest one they'll have this year. So a lot of ways here, a lot of ways this game can go. Let's look at the CFB Nerds model and the FanDuel number. Again, the FanDuel number, Bama minus 6.5. The CFB Nerds model, by the way, they're saying the wrong team's favored. They have OU just a very, very minuscule favorite, like a 1 point favorite almost. 0.7 favorite, minus 0.7. I do believe Oklahoma's defense will keep them in this game. I don't believe the offense will be able to score enough to win. So I'm picking Bama to win, but I do think OU defensively is going to give them fits, I think. And again, we've seen this with OU, a lot of these games, like the Tennessee game is one of them. Now, they didn't do it against Ole Miss or Texas, but, it's a defense that I think we've seen it grown a little bit, and they have gotten better. But I do wonder, though, can they limit Bama to get to sort of, can they limit them from getting a huge nuclear type play? Because LSU did it. LSU limited all that. They didn't. Bama only had their longest play was 24 yards or so. It's not a nuclear play. Their longest rush, by the way, for Bama was from Ty Simpson. That's the other thing too that Oklahoma has on their side. Bama can't run the football, and their run defense is fairly good, I think. So it being Brent Venables and that staff there. So give me Alabama to win, but I think OU covers. I think that 6.5 is a little too big for me, at least in my opinion. One last game here. We'll do this one a little bit quickly. Notre Dame going to Pitt. This is yet again another 2 weeks in a row, a rare non-SEC involved ABC game. This is at noon. Joe Tessitore, Jesse Palmer, Katie George will be there for this one. Interesting game for Notre Dame and Pitt. A nice little non-conference game. I think it's also a rivalry too. I don't know about this one as much. In terms of what this profile is, I think it's pretty simple, at least to me. I think the way, look, Notre Dame's favored by 10.5, so you can tell there's not much you can talk about a 10.5 point spread. So, like we usually do with these, is how the upset happened. Well, Pitt's freshman quarterback. Let me look up his name here, as I don't quite remember who it is. I know he's a freshman because they benched Holstein, who, he's not really anyone special. But with Pitt, if I can look around here and get the name right, it's Mason Heischel, I believe, Henschel. Mason Henschel. I think that's having, again, apologies for him, he's listening, but the Mason kid, I'll just call him that. Yeah, the Mason kid. He's freshman, young kid, dual threat type of quarterback. So if you're Notre Dame, maybe the last time you faced a dual threat guy traditionally was maybe Marcel Reed in Texas A&M. That was a long time ago. At least a good quarterback. And I guess Taylor Green too, but Arkansas they're a zombie team. But yeah, a team with a pulse, a team that actually has a threat to beat you. Again, if this upset were to happen, it's got to be because of the running quarterback. Because this kid can run around a little bit. Mason kid, he can run around. But that's going to be it for, at least in terms of me thinking about how Pitt can win this game. Obviously, turnovers, special teams. Maybe Notre Dame's offense gets frustrated. Maybe Panarduzzi. The reminder, he's still around there. Maybe his defense shows up. Maybe they stop Jeremiah Love, who, in and out in terms of him being the best back in the country, but he's been pretty consistent, I think, going forward lately. But I think Pitt, though, they just need a lot of things to go their way. I know it's cliche to say it, but they really need it here because Notre Dame can out-physical them on both lines of scrimmage. This, to me, in a lot of ways, feels like the BYU and a Texas Tech game in a little bit. That you have one superior team who was, a dominant team on both lines of scrimmages, and they're facing a team that I don't think holds a candle to them. And nothing against the ACC, but that's a terrible conference. And Pitt being 7-2 and ranked in all of the polls and whatnot, including the CFB rankings, good for them. But I don't think they can hold a candle to Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame should be able to physically dominate them. But then again, we've seen dual threat quarterbacks bother them. Marcel Reed. We've also seen Notre Dame's secondary be exposed multiple times. Miami and Texas A&M. Excuse me, burp there. So again, it makes me question here. If this were to happen, A, can Pitt be physical enough, at least try to, but can they get, sort of what we talked about with Bama, a nuclear play, like one big play, one huge play from their receiving core to expose a Notre Dame secondary has been exposed already this year in 2 losses that were long away, long time ago. I don't know for sure. Again, the Mason kid, hey, he has to step up. I mean, that's why you're starting instead of Eli Holstein. So don't have much confidence in that, but who knows? Again, special teams, defensive turnovers, defensive touchdowns, all possibilities of Pat Narduzzi team. So never say never with that, but very unlikely as it may be. I am picking Notre Dame to win. I think they cover the line from FanDuel against 10.5. The CFB Nerds model a little bit shorter, 8.5. That's over a touchdown as well, so they feel good about it. I think Pitt could score, but I think Notre Dame's physicality should be able to level them, or should be able to carry them out of what used to be Heinz Field. Also called Heinz Field. I don't care about the current name. They should be able to get a win there and move on. Hopefully put up a better fight than the Steelers did this past Sunday night. Yesterday, I guess. Yeah, yesterday as I'm recording this. So hopefully they can score more than 3 points. I think I have it on good authority that they can do that. I think the Pitt Panthers can do that. Tuesday poll here on a Monday night as we're recording this. We'll go for this a little bit quickly. Some newcomers, some teams moving up and down. Let's go through this. So again, as we do it from 20. Actually, did I finish this out? I don't think I did. So actually, let me hold that. I guess we can go ahead and do it. Because I'm going to do this on the fly, I guess. Didn't expect this, but I guess as we're here again, make sure to subscribe to the channel and whatnot. I don't know how I forgot to do this. How I forgot to do this before the show. I thought we did everything, but guess not. Didn't finish out the poll. I have a couple of teams missing, but that's okay. We can fill this out as I'm thinking to myself. But I guess as we're here, be sure to subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Make sure you do that. We always like to have new subscribers coming in, and in this time of the year, we need folks. I think as you've gone through the season, like I said, one of our best videos was an LSU coaching search related show, and that got like 40 views. So again, if you're new here, if you think you're subscribed, double check. If you're totally new here, subscribe. It's totally free. Nothing happens. This show is completely free of charge. Everything that we give you guys is going to be available to you with no charge at all. I mean, this show is completely free. So don't worry about any, stupid paywall or stuff like that. This show is completely free. Okay. We've added in teams to the poll. Kind of thinking off the top of my head here, but this is the best we can do. So again, as I said, before I realized we didn't finish up the poll for some reason, we're going to go from 25 to 1. So we're going from 25 to, I guess, let's do 20. Do a little group of 5 here. So 25, Virginia, 8-2. They lost to Wake Forest. They're still in play for the ACC championship game. Oh, well. By the way, Duke, we had them at 25 last week. They fell out. So they're done. Dunzos for a little bit. Still in play for the ACC, though. Have it on good authority. So everyone lost in the conference. Go Blue Devils. South Florida is back. They're at 24, much like the AP poll. Tennessee at 23. They're 6-3. They're off this week, or off this past week. Nebraska 7-3. How about that? Welcome back to them. Welcome to them. Welcome back. And at 22. 21, James Madison, first time appearing in the Tuesday poll. And then at number 20, Pitt at 7-2. We just talked about them in Notre Dame. Okay, 20 to 16 here. Or actually, no, 19 to 16. Excuse me, 19 to 16. Iowa at 19 didn't drop that much. Lose a close game to Oregon. No shame in that. Utah, I think, is back in now. 18, 7-2. Oklahoma a little bit lower. Oklahoma is. They are at number 17 at 7-2, and then USC at 16 at 7-2. 7-2. Let's see here, 11 and 15 through 11. You notice here, Michigan is ahead of Oklahoma. I think Michigan a little bit of ways, a little bit better than OU to a certain extent. I think they've separated themselves just a little bit. You can make the argument that I should flip them around, but I'm not going to here. Could be a little bit me projecting, but it's my poll. Can run it however I want. So Michigan at 15. BYU fell down to 14. No real shame in getting blown out by Texas Tech. You did what you're supposed to do and get blown out. You don't move down that much. They're 9-1. Georgia Tech off this week. They're at 13. Miami 7-2, number 12, and then Vanderbilt number 11, 8-2. How about that? Top 10 time. Texas at 7-2. Notre Dame 7-2. So that's two first two teams in the top 10, both at 10 and 9. Number 8, Texas Tech. 7, Ole Miss. Oregon, number 6, higher than the AP poll, who actually dropped Oregon for some reason. I don't know why, but moved Ole Miss higher than them. Our poll's corrected. We did it the right way. Georgia, number 5. Bama, number 4. Indiana, number 3. Texas A&M, number 2, after beating Missouri. I think that's what the AP did not do that, but I think the college football playoff rankings will do that. They'll move up A&M number 2. SEC bias. Woo. And then number 1, Ohio State. No real major changes, at least in the top. It's just the orders changed a little bit, but the teams that are in the top 10 are mostly the same. So Tuesday poll, quick little rundown there. So again, apologies for not getting all the teams on there correctly. I don't know what happened. I guess real quick here and we'll get out of here. Patriots, Buccaneers. Patriots win 28-23. Disappointing. Very, very deflating. Now, grant you for Tampa, it's not an NFC game, so it's kind of okay, but it would have been a good resume builder. The game started off so well, though. The touchdown pass to Ibuka, the offense looked efficient. And I don't think them losing yesterday. The offense wasn't the problem yesterday. Just wasn't. I think they were efficient enough. Yes, there were times where they sputtered, but the defense, especially in the secondary, probably the worst performance of the year, and I thought they'd been bad throughout the entire year. And yesterday was pretty bad. Guys open. I mean, Stevenson, the running back, had a huge day, or not Stevenson, he's out. Henderson had a huge day. Guys were open in the secondary. Stephon Diggs had a huge play. I mean, look, I don't think Drake May is a bad quarterback. He's really good, okay? I mean, he's a good young quarterback. But yeah, I mean, it just from the dynamic stuff, and you're off a bye, and New England was playing their 9th straight game. It just the fact that you could not take advantage of the dynamics, that was puzzling to me. The fact that Todd was able to do that, they were coming off a bye. I just don't know what happened there. Yes, I get it. You don't have Bucky Irving, you don't have some of your starters, but you're getting guys back though. You still have a pretty good player in Rashard White at running back number 1, like 1A, 1B. So no, the offense is not the issue. It's just the defense, man, just constantly over and over getting big plays on them, like multiple nuclear plays, which is definitely a Josh Page style padlock stat of all the big nuclear plays that the Patriots hit over the Tampa defense. So, and look, Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded coach. That's on him. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was kind of hard to watch a little bit, at least defensively. Now, again, offensively, no problems. Like, I think 23 points in today's NFL should be enough to win the game. It just wasn't. So they have to go on the road to Buffalo. I'm not looking forward to that game. I won't actually be watching it. I'll be, I guess shit. Yeah, I'll be at the Chargers game for no reason other than just to, get myself distracted from what could be an ugly game there in Buffalo with Tampa going up to face a pissed off Bills team after they lost to the Fighting Tuas and the Dolphins. So yes, I will be at Everbank Stadium for one of their last home games of the Jags. Pay my respects as a Jacksonville resident. I'm gonna do it. I'm a Bucs fan, so I'll wear my gear. So I mean, I guess in general, I don't think Jags fans really care about Tampa, but I'll go and support them. I'll go and pay my respects to Everbank Stadium as it's currently constructed. So, and I know too, that's not the final season there for the Jags, and at least here at the current stadium. I think after next year they'll be out of there for a year in Orlando. But pay my respects, but also distracting myself. It could be probably a splattering up there in Buffalo. Hopefully, I'm wrong on that. The good luck charm last year. I went to the Chargers-Panthers game last year, and the Bucs won on the road. So who knows? Maybe it's a good luck charm. Me not watching the game. It makes them play better, knowing that I'm not watching it. So who knows? We'll be back usual time Thursday. So the same time and day for Thursday. No rules change. But yeah, for today's show, or I guess tomorrow's show, as I'm recording this, can't do it during the day. We'll do it Monday night. No problem with that at all whatsoever. We adapt. We survive. We can go through it. I mean, heck, we've done it. We did it last year with the Hurricanes last year here in Florida. So we can do that. We can make some changes. But yeah, tomorrow's Veterans Day. So again, salute to all the veterans out there, all members of the armed services. So thank you for your service. Again, we're back on Thursday. So enjoy your Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your midweek, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Yep, on Thursday. So enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, and we'll see you on the next stream.